Cisco Stealthwatch Enterprise 7.x WebUI. We're going to review today's alarms. All right, so we're at the dashboard of Stealthwatch, right? A lot of cool data points that we can pivot on here, but we're going to focus on today's alarms. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to web propagation. That sounds interesting, so let's dig into this a little bit. And when we click this, it's going to provide us more insight into what triggered these worm propagation alarms. So here's all the alarms. We see our first active, then source host group. We see source, target host groups, right? Then we see target, and then we see the alarm, right? Worm propagation. Then we've got details, right? Worm propagated from source host using VNC 5900/TCP. Okay, so we're learning a little bit more here. So we know VNC is in play, at least that port is, and what we're going to do is click on the details of that particular event or alarm. And now what it's going to do is it's going to pull all security events for that 10.110.10.54. So very quickly, if you're not sure what the worm propagation is, you can go into details. It talks about the host has scanned and connected on a particular port across more than one subnet. The host was previously scanned and connected by a host for which worm activity alarm has been raised. Okay, interesting. So from here, what we can do is we can look at the associated flows for that event. And what's really cool is that when you click on the associated flows for that, it pre-populates the flow search. So you can edit that, right? But by default, it'll actually set all the parameters around that associated flow for your search. But again, you can modify that and add additional timelines. There's a tremendous amount of attributes that you can leverage in searching. So as this renders, and you can see it's fairly quick, right? In regards to pulling all that data for the entire environment, right? During that timeline. So again, there's your search. You can edit that. Again, you can see some good insight here in regards to subject IP, subject port, subject host group, bytes. But I'm missing some data here, and we're going to fix that in a second. Well, I'm not really missing it. We're not fitting on this one screen. Very quickly, we can look at a little more detail here, right, around bytes, byte rate, percent transferred, right, around the subject, the totals, and the peer. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to manage columns. I'm going to get rid of the encryption columns that I've added earlier. Or I'll get rid of a couple of them. And you can see that shrunk this up a little bit. Now I can see the peer IP address. And what else the other thing I can see is that 5900. So what I'm going to do from here is I really want to look at this 10.110.254. I want to actually look at its host report. Get a little more insight into that particular host itself. So I know now, that the port 5900 is being used. I know what was the peer IP address for this activity. And now I'm going to look a little bit around the host report. So again, there's all kinds of things you can do here. You can see on the inside who you're communicating with. You can see worm propagation here as well. And then here we can see additional security events for this host. So address scan TCP, and you can see these are actually scanning entire /24s. So address scan 5900, what is it? The source host is attempting to contact multiple hosts using TCP within a natural class C network on the same port, and most connection attempts are either being rejected, TCP reset, or the target are not responding. This is used to trigger the worm activity and worm propagation alarms. These are commonly seen during network scanning or enumeration. So you know what? We probably want to take this host outside in the backyard and maybe shoot it, right? But at least now we're not blind to what's going on in the network, and now we can take further action. Really cool stuff.